I'm Euge Valovirta, and that was Children of Bodom's Are You Dead Yet? Many people have asked me to do a video in the style of ALEXI, and I haven't even been able to listen to Children of Bodom since ALEXI passed, because he was my friend. It still would be cool to say he is my friend, but I mean he still is, but he's up there. So yeah, I haven't listened. I now listened, and I chose that song, Are You Dead Yet, for a few reasons. It's a great song, and I think it's a really good example of Allu's style. We knew each other since we weren't the closest friends, but we did. I mean, I played banjo on Children of Bodom's looking at my back door, at your back door, the Creedence Clearwater Revival. There's probably a picture of the studio session. The quality is bad. I couldn't find any better. That was great times. I was at the studio with them for several days, and just had a great time. And we did this song. ALEXI played on my band God's Plague back in the day we had in Finland. We did 4 albums. He played a couple of solos on an album called Hate. Age 8. There's a clip in there where we are, recording the solos. As you can see, from the video, there's a crankist, and then there's the bad boy. I don't remember which one we used here because I really can't see which one is on. But the amps were there, and the cabinets were in another room. And as you hear, he plays through my gear. He has his own guitar, which sounds like him. I played a bunch of times through ALEXI's gear, different iterations, the Lee Jackson preamp, which is kind of like 800. And then he had 800 too, and his JVMs. Did I sound like ALEXI? No, I sounded just like myself, and ALEXI sounded just like him, no matter the gear he used. So it's all here. Like, you know how that is. And ALEXI also, we did some backing vocals on the title track, and good times. Good times indeed. Let's go through this song and the gear I used for this sound. So the gear is, this is my, we both got the ESP endorsement in the early 2000s, maybe ALEXI even late 90s, early 2000s, a little bit before, around the same time. And this was the first guitar ESP's custom shop made to me. This is the one of a kind. They don't even make these kind of, even, how much you would, be willing to pay. It's EMG 8185, original floating, 2 volumes, 3-way pickup switch, and 22 frets. So I needed to, because on that Are You Dead solo, there's one bend that ALEXI does from the 23rd fret. I couldn't do it, so there was a double stop, so I just did like single note bend here. And the solo is kind of like how he played it, but I played it like I play it, and the song in general. And then the cable goes straight into my Pro Tools Carbon audio interface's high-Z input. And I used my Bad Boy plugin. Just a plugin, nothing else. Because it's great. ALEXI's sound was kind of, like I said, the Lee Jackson was kind of like Marshall. Very bitey, a lot of mids. Kind of this, and he was able to get a gain out from that because he had the booster inside his guitars. We also had SD1 on his board, at least every once in a while, just having different or extra boost. But SD1, JCM 800, or any British Marshall, you get the in the ballpark, you're never gonna sound. Nobody's gonna sound like Alexi. Nobody's gonna sound like you or me. So that's just. But you know, you can get into the ballpark. So I decided to use the plugin because that's available to everyone. Without, you know, of course, you need to pay a little bit. But the bad boy, the actual amp, that's not. And that's priceless anyways. So I decided to use gear, not just because it's accessible to everyone. So if you're inspired by this video and you want to try similar sounds, you can do that, but also because it just sounded so good. I didn't feel like even using a real amp because the plugin is so good. And you know, if you're interested in checking that out, please check out my affiliate link in the description below. If you end up buying that or anything from Bogren via my link or my code Euge 230 volts, you will get a small discount. I think it was 10%, and I will get a small commission, which is much appreciated. All right, but anyway, let's go to the song and the arrangement. This is kind of typical Alexi. There's a lot of really cool small stuff going on. So when I feel myself, I play the left guitar, kind of what Alexi played live, and I actually learned this song, Alexi's part, by watching, because he did a EMG TV video, whatever, 15 years ago or 12 years ago. I basically just watched that video and listened and checked how Alexi played. So then, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then I listened the album and, you know, kind of learned the right guitar, because they play occasionally same stuff, but mostly they're playing different stuff. So what's cool about Bodom's many albums is that there is like one guitar left, one guitar right. And if you want to learn either of them, you can just mute the other speaker. Like how I did, how I learned the right guitar. I just muted my left speaker and so I just heard the right guitar. Obviously, I don't know if it's exactly like how it was on the album, but sounds right, pretty close to me. The drums are the MIDI are from Iron Strongholds. My friend Devin James, his company's MIDI pack. So you can buy actually this drum MIDI. Obviously, you need to have then a drum player, and you know, you probably need to mix the drums and so on. I used MDL Tones Ultimate heavy drums, and then I have them multi-outed and do a little bit processing, adding some extra reverbs and stuff. But yeah, I'll put a link to the description to Iron Strongholds website. There's a couple of other Bodom songs also, many other great MIDI drum beats Devin does. I use them a lot. A bass is, there's 3 tracks, 1 performance. The clank is Soft Tube's Murder 1, Plexi. The main bass, it's Bogren's bass knob. Clean low end, Bogren's bass knob. And a little bit symphonic chorusing, not much. But that's the kind of the bass, and some other processing, but it's not the topic of this video. And guitars. Left guitar is the bad boy, cabinet 1. Right guitar is also the bad boy, cabinet 1. That's like a vintage, or I think it's labeled here as modern, but it's kind of like my Marshall vintage cab there. That's the cab Allu used. Allu is, well, Alexi, you know, used Marshall vintage cabinet with Marshall vintages V30s. So that's that. Then both have a Neve kind of mic pre. Only thing I'm doing, I'm having the low cut at 50 Hertz. And then on the bass, a little bit smooth, just take out some multiband compressor. It's basically only working when there's a low palm mute. So this is kind of, it's a little bit, you know, taming those things down. And then the Pro Q wasn't doing, let's see what it was doing actually. Actually, let's take that first. Yeah, the Pro Q, so more low cut. Then I took out, I don't like 3000 and 6000. Well, usually at 3 and 6000 there's these little whistling things. Then I cut out a little bit of mids, because I compared this to the album recording, that mix, and the guitars were I had a bit more mids on mine than what the album had, so I did that, and then they had a little bit more kind of lower end the guitars on the album, so I kind of try to get it as pretty close as possible. So that's that, and then a final smoothening, tiny amount of 10K. I'm taking tiny amount of 4K off, tiny amount of 500 off, boosting around. This is more like 80 hertz, even if it's just 100. That's a little bit more, and high cut and low cut. And that's really it, and there's delay on solo. But anyway, the arrangement. Let's listen to just the guitars. Now they were playing the same. Listen. So the first they were playing the same single note, and then the second time the right guitar starts to play fifth harmonies, so basically creating a chord, which they both do on the next thing. So the left one is doing the root, and then the right one is creating a fifth harmony. Really smart. And then the arrangement grows, and then here where it says soi nulla, which means by chords, so they're both playing fifth chords. And yeah, here let's check out this one. This is pretty cool what the right guitar is doing. If I solo that. So it's basically doing a kind of it's basically a B flat. And this is kind of like it's kind of B flat C thing, so really cool stuff. At least that's how it sounds to me, that it is what's going on in there. Okay, then the chords. And then the verses again, really nicely. So they kind of call and response thing with the guitars, left and right. Then let's listen. I think they changes again the harmony when the main riff comes again. Yeah, a little bit. So small differences. It's a little bit like AC/DC. You're like, yeah, it's whatever. Then when you start to listen, there's so much stuff going on, and figuring this actually out. The ALEXI part was easy because he's playing mostly root stuff, and there was a video, but this right guitar I really needed to listen, like what's going on in there. Again, some harmonies. So the right one is playing. Then the left one. The right one is doing a harmony. So together. What I like with Bodom, like here, even though both are playing melody, but then there's no kind of like rhythm guitar. It's just bass taking care of the low end. And on this part, I think I actually, I automated the bass. So the bass becomes a tiny bit louder on this part when there's no heavy rhythm guitars. Then I also automated here, you know, the delay sent to circular delays, it's muted, and then on this part I open it, so let's check out. There's just shading, creating a little bit ambience to this part. And here I'm sending this to a straight Korg 3000 delay, this kind of melodic part. This was actually pretty surprisingly hard. You hear there's a little delay. Because the fingering is kind of, at least how I played it, that was the easiest way I could figure out. So it's kind of like. And to play that on speed. And to that because I was always like rushing, so I really needed to that was probably the hardest thing on this song, this part. Then you know, verse again and chorus, and then the solo. So on the recording there was kind of two rhythm guitars, but what the rhythm guitar is doing, so it changes key, because this tuning is drop C tuning and the song is in C. So the tunings Alexi and Bodom mainly used were the drop C and then standard D tuning, like one whole step down and then dropped. And I believe something, if I remember correct, Something Wild, the first album, I think that was in standard C sharp. I might be wrong. Okay, but check out this, let's listen to the solo first and then what's going on in there behind and in the solo. One kind of mistake was a little, I kind of, you know, oop. So the rhythm guitar is playing this and the bass. Here I automated that it goes from hard right to a little bit more center, because then when the next chorus starts, it's gonna sound a little bit wider. So it's, you know, like I said, from C to E, or in this case D. Really cool kind of thing, and the bass is doing the same, at least how I played it, the same. Really cool, and that break kind of. And the solo, it's typical Alex. There's some, you know, pentatonic, rock and roll stuff, and then there's some, you know, arpeggios, and then there's some diatonic, minor diatonic stuff. So it's kind of start with this. Bends, you know, basic E pentatonic. And then it would go here, but I needed to do it here. And then comes kind of like this, what I refer as kind of Steve Vai thing. Steve Vai thing, Alu was a big Steve Vai fan. Then comes this Aeolian lick in fourth, so it goes like. At least how I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he does something like, at least on the EMG TV videos, so like kind of bends from E and then slides to E and then taps from, I think it was from E. It's kind of, you know. And then comes these arpeggios. And then again some rock and roll, pentatonics, double stops. What I loved about I was playing was there was always some rock and roll, like I have in mind. And then comes this whammy, kind of like, I think he did like. Then artificial harmonic on the 17th fret. Oh yeah, great example of pentatonic, bluesier, double stop riffing, diatonic, you know, four group notes, and arpeggios, and then this crazy whammy stuff. And the Steve Y stuff. Okay, and then the ending. It's again a variation of the main riff. Listen. Great stuff. Kind of like 80s stuff. I mean, we both loved 80s music, so there's a lot of that in Bodom, which I love. And then let's listen to what the other guitar is playing, or at least what I played. Again, kind of harmonies. I'm not gonna go into too detail, but you know, this clearly shows that there's a lot more under the surface when you first listen to the song, because nothing really comes twice the same time. There's different inversions or different little bit. Again, a little bit different. So if we listen to the ending, just the guitars, listen left and right. Yes, great guy. A lot of different influences, and he packed them all into one great package. Like that one solo, there was like blues double stops, Steve Y style stuff, kind of classical Aeolian 4-note group thing, guitar trickery, arpeggios, whammy bar, like short solo. And still, at least to me, it didn't sound like he was gonna go like, look what I can do. But the solo is just a great solo. You know. Hey, hopefully you found this interesting and informative. I could have gone into more detail, but I can't. This is just very enough for me to talk to the black hole about a person who was my friend. So, yeah, rest in peace, my friend. We'll see. Check out his music. You probably, everyone who's watching this knows this, but if you don't, Children of Bodom, Are You Dead Yet? That's my favorite album of theirs. Alright, until next time, take care. Take care of you, your friends, each other.